Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and this whole Luna situation is getting quite interesting. Wait till you see some of the things I've put together. Strap in, it's going to be interesting. First, Nick Garofalo from Link to the opportunity to invest in Ripple will not last forever. If you have been thinking about it, time is of the essence. Today's $1,000 XRP drop will also be controlled due to limited supply. When this offering is fully subscribed, it will not be restocked today. I keep saying this, but there's one of these times with this Ripple equity, these guys are going to say, look, we can't get any more. And nobody knows when this whole thing is going to drop, but I do think there's going to be a lot of people kicking themselves. There's going to be a lot of people kicking themselves, in my opinion, that they had an opportunity to get Ripple equity and also had an opportunity to get XRP. And I think that both windows are probably going to close. Now, you got to see this, folks. Listen up. You got to see this. Listen up. Crypto whale, Coinbase's latest filing with the SEC says, in the event of a bankruptcy, our customers could be treated as our general unsecured creditors. In other words, when they eventually go bankrupt, they will use your crypto to bail themselves out. Right here it says, moreover, because the custodially held crypto assets may be considered to be the property of the bankruptcy estate, in the event of a bankruptcy, the crypto assets we hold in custody on behalf of our customers could be subject to bankruptcy proceedings, and such customers could be treated as our general unsecured creditors. Folks, let me give you a translation. If Coinbase has financial problems, they're going to be able to shut you out of your account and say, oh, well, you're going to have to wait on the bankruptcy courts. And then the bankruptcy courts are going to decide which money goes where, and you're going to, if you're lucky, get pennies of what was actually your savings. Here's Brown Armstrong trying to put out the fire. For our retail customers, we're taking further steps to update our user terms such that we offer the same protections to those customers in a black swan event. We should have had these in place previously, so let me apologize for that. This disclosure makes sense in that these legal protections have not been tested in court for crypto assets specifically. In other words, he doesn't know. And it's possible, however unlikely, that the court would decide to consider customer assets as a part of the company in bankruptcy proceedings. In other words, the court hadn't decided this yet, folks. But it's possible that they would say, yeah, the crypto holdings you had on Coinbase, we're going to get to settle our bankruptcy proceedings using your funds. That's what he's saying. And that is why yours truly, the digital asset investor, I already had a lot of mine on Ledger and NOS. I am seriously considering maybe in the next 2 days to take everything I've got on Coinbase and putting it all on. I had some on there just in case I wanted to do anything with it. But I'm considering taking all of it and putting it on my Ledger and NOS, because they just sent up red flags all over the place. And by the way, they've just come up with the Ledger Nano S Plus, which is $79, and it stores NFTs. You can manage your NFTs on there safely. So the one I've always had is the Ledger Nano S. This is the Ledger Nano S Plus. They have a Ledger Nano X too, but this new one has a bigger screen, and you can manage your NFTs on there as well. I'll put a link in the description to this at the very top. So, because this one right here, folks, this is serious business now. I'm seriously considering spending the rest of my day getting my stuff onto my Ledger Nano S. Crypto bull, Luno dies. Solana doesn't work. Bitcoin is slow. Ethereum's expensive. The answer to all the problems is XRP. I agree. And then here's Mike Novogratz. I laughed out loud when I saw this. This is Mike Novogratz from the 4th of January, 2022. I'm officially a lunatic. Thanks, StableQuan, and thank my friends at Smith Street Tattoos that he got a huge Luna tattoo on his shoulder. Now, if this isn't karma, I don't know what is, folks, because this is the man who was completely confused by XRP and why the value of XRP would go up. But he completely understood Luna and why it would go up. That made complete sense to him. He would go on CNBC to make sure he scared everyone and warned everybody to stay away from XRP because he just doesn't understand why it would go up. But Luna, now that he understands, that makes sense. So my question is to Mike Novogratz, when are you going to get on CNBC to tell everybody about how scary Luna is the way you did with XRP? That, my friends, is karma. Big time. I love karma. Now listen to Charles Hoskinson talking about the recent crypto pullback.
Recession, reallocate your portfolio. This was always the danger of inviting the Wall Street types in, is that they would just simply treat crypto like any other asset and label it as an exotic high-risk one. And when the markets go in not the direction they want, they dump it. The retail people are holding because they are opting out of a global system that's unfair, a global system that's frankly rigged. I've seen it myself. I've been in the meetings. I've talked to the people everywhere I go. They don't give a fuck about sustainability. They don't care at all in any way, shape, or form about whether you live well. Your standard of living is the same as the standard of living of your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. In fact, quite the opposite. They're trying to prepare the masses to accept a standard of living significantly less than the one that they inherited.
Did you hear that? They're trying to prepare you to have a standard of living significantly less. I've believed this for a long time. I believe that there's just a tiny few who saw what you and I saw, who saw XRP, who saw XLM, who realized what this is. It's a transition to a new system. I think there's going to be a very small handful of people that saw this coming. And those are the people, I believe there's going to be a massive separation between the people. There's going to be most of the people, like as in 90+% of the population, at least in the United States, is going to realize one day, that standard of living that I had, that my parents had, that was all fake. Because we had the petrodollar, right? That's the reason that we've had it, folks. But a small number of people will have seen what this transition that's coming. That small number of people are the ones who are going to live not just the standard of living they've had, but a standard of living way, way above if they don't get scared and sell, that is. way, way above what you ever thought. That's what I believe is going on here.
The one that they grew up with, the one that their parents grew up with. This is no way to run the world. This is no way.
All right. Then we've got, now remember, this is Jack McDonald. He is with PolySign, which we have to whisper when we talk about PolySign because it is the most secretive custody project in all of crypto. And now they also own standard custody, which he's talking about here. Listen to what he says, because Jack McDonald knows the big boys, the real money, haven't even begun to come, but they're coming. Don't let this pullback fool you.
I think what you're seeing certainly in the crypto markets is a lot of momentum and speculative investors who are getting flushed out here. We see from our business standard custody and trust a lot of interest coming from institutions. We just had a very large prospective investor come in today who feels like it's the bottom and they're looking to move into the space. And so I do think there's a lot of pent-up demand. I keep reminding myself when I do my own gut check here, is that the longer term fundamentals have really remained unchanged. There's nothing that we've learned fundamental to the crypto long-term story that I think has changed over the last couple of months here. We have the advantage of seeing what institutions are doing day in, day out, and big major institutions globally believe in the long-term trend, not only around the underlying blockchain technology, but more importantly, around digital assets. We are in the process of really rewriting a new operating system for capital markets. And I think that longer-term thesis will ultimately prevail, and that the higher quality tokens and assets will prevail as well.
And then just finally here, there's been a lot of analyst calls for the second half of 2022 to see a rebound in crypto. And of course, you don't have a crystal ball, but is that what you forecast as well? Do you think that we will see a turnaround?
Unquestionable. I think the hodlers are going to remain steady. That's certainly what I've been doing. And as I said, if anything, I think the real money that's going to be coming into this space views this market drawdown as a real opportunity for the longer term. So I remain very, very bullish.
Yes, sir. I bet you do. Now, let's get into it, folks. I'm going to try to go through this as fast as possible. Wait till you see this. First, John Deaton. I'm afraid Dennis is correct. Regulators of the legacy financial system are very happy today. Remember, folks, never let a crisis go to waste, especially if the government created the crisis. He's retweeting this. Big breaking. Yellen tells senators that UST experienced a run and declined in value during the Senate finance hearing. As I said, UST will be used as evidence to regulate. Now, Rob Licker said, if Trump used Gary to pop the Bitcoin bubble, which they did, Giancarlo said that it was Gary Cohen, Giancarlo, and some others got together to create Bitcoin futures to pop that bubble. It was specifically to pop the bubble in 2018, okay? Now, look what we have. We got Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren. They're best buddies, okay? We know that. Then we've got this. Yesterday, CoinDesk tweets this out. Luna Foundation guards billions in Bitcoin without an actual infrastructure, ready to deploy, left Terra's stablecoin vulnerable for a Soros-style attack. Now, when I heard that, I was like, uh-oh. Okay, so now I'm putting all this together. Now, this is a tweet from 6 months ago. The guy from Terra this Do Kwon guy is making fun of this guy's tweet. Look at this guy's tweet. A few weeks ago, I responded to this person tweet with a brief outline of how a wealthy attacker could not only break Terra, but profit heavily doing it with a Soros-style Black Wednesday attack. Black Wednesday attack? Almost as if this person knew something about Soros. And then there's this tweet that happened yesterday. Folks, there are no coincidences, okay? How to make more than $800 million in crypto attacking the once third largest stablecoin, Soros style. There it is again. Everyone is talking about the UST attack right now, including Janet Yellen, but no one is talking about how much money the attacker made or how brilliant it was. This person digs in and tells you exactly how it was done and is inferring that there's a Soros style attack again. Reminded me instantly, remember a few months ago when I was like, why is the SEC chairman meeting, why would any SEC chairman be talking to a guy who is in the business of taking down currencies, world currencies? This is the guy that tried to destroy I think it was the British sterling, was that what it was called? Listen to this. This is George Soros on 60 Minutes talking while you're looking at his calendar where he had a 1 hour or 30 minute to 1 hour call with Gary Gensler. This is Gary Gensler's calendar. And listen to this person.
I don't feel guilty because I'm engaged in an amoral activity which is not meant to have anything to do with guilt.
Part of the reason he is so rich is that the Soros hedge funds operate offshore in the Netherlands Antilles to avoid scrutiny by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So even while Soros tells Congress and the Treasury that hedge funds must be regulated to stop the global crisis, he's avoiding the rules.
Why is it that Americans can't invest in the quantum fund? It's an offshore fund. Why is that?
Because the fund is not registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. We are not
license to do business in the United States.
That's right.
Because?
Because we are not registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Because we find it more convenient to operate without it.
So in some ways it's to escape regulation.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Then you have this. Remember, this is Elizabeth Warren. What happened with this attack falls right into, it goes right to, and I'll show you what she has to do with it in a second.
Blaine, do you agree that these kinds of risks mean that stable coins are not just an emerging threat to our financial system, but a threat that could become systemic if this market continues to grow rapidly?
So, Senator Warren, thank you for the question. So I do think there is some urgency to considering stablecoins and applying the appropriate regulations to reduce run risk and the potential for them to scale up quickly.
So are you, just let me remind you what my question is. Do they pose the threat of becoming a systemic risk?
Of becoming a systemic risk, yes.
Yes, they do. I agree that the stablecoin market poses significant risks and that Congress and our regulators need to contain.
Now remember, the reason she keeps saying systemic risk is those are the key words. That's what'll let people like Janet Yellen step in and say, "Oh, systemic risk, national security. We're gonna do X, Y, and Z, and it's just the way it is." That is the key, right? Okay. Well, what does Elizabeth Warren have to do with George Soros? I typed in Elizabeth Warren, George Soros, and look what you get. George Soros, Elizabeth Warren's the most qualified. George Soros, Elizabeth Warren, most qualified. Soros calls Elizabeth Warren the candidate most qualified. Inside Warren's secret big donor fan club. George Soros calls Elizabeth Warren da-da-da-da-da. So you can see that. Okay, well, you think that's all there is? There's Alexander Soros. This guy intentionally does not put himself around all these politicians because there's too much stink and it's not good for them to be seen with him. But that's what they use Alexander for. There's Elizabeth Warren with Alexander Soros, right? All of them are with him. Why are our politicians hanging out with a guy that destroys currencies? What in the world? The guy that you heard in the 60 Minutes video. And don't forget this. It's not just George Soros.
When Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. And that's not illegal.
He says it's a fraud.
It says you buy anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying it.
His company is buying it.
It's just, so unethical.
Right.
Okay, George Soros.
George Soros, in January 24th, price was already down, calls Bitcoin a bubble, says Bitcoin is the worst investment in the world. Don't buy Bitcoin. Don't buy Bitcoin. Basically throws gasoline on the fire at this point. And then what do we find out? So he says bubble here.
It drops 44%.
Right. And then here in April, 2 months later, guess what we find out?
Yeah.
His $26 billion family office has approval to buy cryptocurrency.
Right. And we only knew about it publicly here. And this is the kind of thing that George Soros is famous for this, talking the sterling down.
Yeah.
And what did he do? He stole the pensions of all the little people.
Yeah, made $1 billion.
Yeah.
Okay, so then here now, Goldman Sachs, this, again, February 7th, most cryptocurrencies will crash to zero. Now, I remember when they said this in February, and I had, through my network, I knew that Goldman Sachs was setting up a crypto trading desk. Absolutely knew they were setting up a crypto trading desk. And
I remember you telling me that.
Right, and then, of course, they were denying it. No, we're not.
Yeah.
Price falls down 27%, and then what do we find out? We find out here, they say BTC 0, and then we find out just before May, new trading desk. Not only that, they put $400 million to buy a cryptocurrency trading platform. Okay, so February 7th, it's all going to zero. May, we just spent $400 million just on a flyer.
I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that there's a lot of smoke coming up off of this thing. Always is. It's just, man, let me tell you what. When I got into crypto, I had no idea how disgusting everything I would observe was. But you couldn't pull me away from here. I'm a dog.